Every Fortune 500 company has quietly handed off a piece of their payroll, their health insurance enrollment, or their HR department to a company you've probably never heard of. That invisible industry is worth $500 billion, more than the NFL, the NBA, and the MLB combined. It's called administrative services, and it's hiding in plain sight. You've interacted with this industry at almost every job you've ever held. The company that managed your health insurance enrollment when you were onboarded? That's administrative services. The third-party firm that processed your 401k contributions? Also administrative services. The outsourced bookkeeper your startup used instead of hiring a full-time accountant? Yep, administrative services. This industry is everywhere. It just doesn't have a face. And yet, by almost any economic measure, this is one of the most consequential industries in the modern economy. The four major segments: benefit administration, office administrative services, outsourced administrative services, and healthcare management service organizations, together account for over $506 billion in annual revenue in the United States alone. That's larger than the entire U.S. airline industry, the domestic pharmaceutical retail market, Hollywood, or the music industry. But administrative services don't show up in headlines because invisibility is the business model. After all, how many major companies in this space can you name? To understand why this industry is so quietly massive, you need to understand the trick that every Fortune 500 company is using. And it has nothing to do with cutting jobs. It starts with a concept at the heart of corporate finance: the difference between fixed costs and variable costs. A fixed cost is something a company pays regardless of how much business it does. Rent, salaries for full-time employees, the IT systems those employees need. Whether a company has a great quarter or a terrible one, those costs don't go away. A variable cost, by contrast, scales with activity. You pay for it when you need it, and stop paying when you don't. For decades, administrative functions, payroll processing, data entry, facilities management, benefits enrollment, were almost entirely fixed costs. A company hired a payroll department, staffed an HR team, and built internal systems. Permanent overhead baked into the cost base, regardless of business conditions. The administrative services industry exists to change that equation entirely. By outsourcing those functions to a specialized third-party provider, a company converts a fixed cost into a variable one. Need more payroll capacity in Q4 because you've hired seasonal workers? Scale up. Business goes south, and you need to cut headcount? Scale down. No restructuring, no layoffs, no stranded overhead. You simply adjust what you're paying the vendor. This is the fundamental value proposition. A CFO looking at a line item that used to say, payroll department, $2.3 million annually, fixed, can now make it say, payroll processing, $180,000, variable. That transformation is why corporations keep outsourcing more administrative functions every year. It's not about laziness, it's about cost structure optimization. This industry is notable because it isn't actually one industry. It's four distinct economic ecosystems, each with its own clients, margins, regulatory pressures, and competitive dynamics, and each one is enormous. The largest segment, by a wide margin, is benefit administration services, worth approximately $304 billion. This is the business of managing corporate employee benefits, health insurance, retirement plans, 401k administration, COBRA continuation coverage, and pension management. The clients are HR departments at virtually every mid to large company in America, and the regulatory environment is governed by ERISA, the Employee Retirement Income Security Act. along with IRS rules dictating exactly how benefits must be tracked, reported, and administered. A company with 5,000 employees might offer a dozen health insurance options, multiple retirement tiers, flexible spending accounts, and life insurance packages, all subject to annual enrollment windows and constant regulatory updates. Maintaining an in-house department capable of managing that is expensive and operationally complicated. Outsourcing it to a specialist who does nothing else, at scale, across thousands of clients, is dramatically more efficient. Most people don't realize that Fidelity Investments, known as a brokerage platform, has an entire division working in this space. Aon, Mercer, and Conduent are other big players here, and ADP and Paychex alone process payroll for 1 in 6 American workers, an extraordinary concentration of corporate activity. The second segment is office administrative services, reception, facilities management, clerical operations, basic office support. This is a $105 billion market. It's less glamorous than benefit administration, but it's deeply embedded in both the public and private sectors. Every building that needs to be cleaned and staffed, every front desk covered, every mailroom run. These are jobs that have to exist, and outsourcing them lets client organizations focus resources on their actual core competencies. The third segment is outsourced administrative services, a $52 billion market serving small businesses, startups, solo entrepreneurs, and remote-first companies rather than Fortune 500 HR departments. Virtual assistants, outsourced bookkeeping, data entry, administrative delegation. This is the market that grew explosively alongside the gig economy and remote work. A startup with 10 employees doesn't need, and often can't afford, a full-time COO and an operations team. But it does need someone to handle scheduling, invoicing, and vendor management. Concentrix, Teleperformance, and Genpact are the big players here, yet remain under the radar to the broader public. And then there's the most structurally unusual segment of the four, management service organizations, or MSOs. It's a $45 billion industry that almost nobody has heard of, built around a specific legal constraint that most people don't know exists. In most U.S. states, it is illegal for a non-physician to own a medical practice. This is called the corporate practice of medicine doctrine, and it exists to prevent financial interests from interfering with clinical decision-making. The concern? If private equity or a corporation owns a doctor's office, those investors might pressure physicians to see more patients, order more tests, or cut corners that harm patient care. The problem is that healthcare practices still need capital, professional management, and operational infrastructure. And physicians are generally not trained to run businesses. So lawyers, investors, and healthcare entrepreneurs found a workaround: the Management Service Organization. MSOs like Optum, Envision Healthcare, and Team Health are separate companies owned by non-physicians that provide all the non-clinical infrastructure a medical practice needs: billing, compliance, electronic health record (IT), group purchasing, HR, and facilities management. The clinical decisions stay with the physicians, who technically own the practice entity. The MSO handles everything else and charges a management fee, typically structured as a percentage of revenue. In practice, this means private equity has found a legal vehicle to gain economic exposure to healthcare practices without technically owning them. The physician owns the medical decisions, and the MSO owns everything else, a $45 billion industry built on a legal distinction that most patients and most physicians don't fully grasp. Understanding how these firms protect their margins comes down to 3 structural advantages. The first is labor arbitrage, Administrative tasks, data entry, document preparation, claims processing are highly standardized, so there's no reason the person processing your payroll has to sit in the same city, or even country, as your headquarters. In medical claims processing, labor can represent up to 90% of total operating costs, so moving it to lower-cost regions while maintaining quality control is the single most powerful lever for margin expansion in the industry. But these firms are also eliminating the labor entirely. That's the second advantage: automation. A claims processing firm that once needed 500 employees might now need 50, with software handling the rest. And every additional transaction processed by an automated system costs almost nothing. It's one of the primary reasons the largest administrative services firms are valued so highly by investors. They're essentially technology companies wearing a services company's clothes. The third advantage is economies of scale. The compliance infrastructure, cybersecurity systems, and IT platforms a large firm needs are enormously expensive to build. But once built, they spread across thousands of clients at almost no additional cost. A mid-size company building those functions in-house would spend tens of millions for a capability it only needs internally. Conversely, a benefits administrator builds it once and sells access across thousands of clients. The fixed cost is the same either way. The revenue scales with every new one. The industry has increasingly moved from paying for support by the hour toward outcome-based pricing, per transaction fees, per employee per month models, per claim processed rates. Under this model, the provider gets paid the same amount whether a task takes 1 hour or 10 minutes. So every dollar invested in automation goes straight to the provider's bottom line, while the client gets predictable, stable pricing. It's also why private equity has poured capital into this space over the past decade. A benefits administrator with an outcome-based contract and improving automation economics looks, financially, more like a software company than a staffing firm. High margins, high recurring revenue, predictable cash flows, strong barriers to entry. Yet there's a counterintuitive truth here. The more burdensome the regulatory environment gets, the more valuable the dominant players become. Every new federal mandate, a change to financial disclosure reporting, a new tax rule, updated healthcare privacy standards, imposes costs on companies handling these functions in-house. For administrative services providers, those same regulations are a competitive moat. They've already built the compliance infrastructure and staffed the specialists, and they absorb a new requirement across their entire client base instead of bearing the cost alone. This is one reason small competitors struggle to survive in the benefit administration and healthcare MSO markets. The capital required to build compliant, federally regulated infrastructure is enormous, and incumbents compete on the credibility of already being trusted with millions of employees' retirement savings and healthcare data. Trust that new entrants can't easily replicate. The result? A handful of entrenched platforms, a competitive mid-market of regional specialists, and a fragmented long tail of small generalist firms. Step back and look at what this industry represents at the macroeconomic level, and something important comes into focus. For the past 40 years, corporate America has been engaged in a systematic project of stripping out anything that isn't core to a company's competitive advantage and outsourcing it. Manufacturing, customer service, IT, and, of course, administrative services. This is part of what economists call the hollowing out of the traditional corporation. The 5,000-person company of 1985 that employed its own HR department, payroll team, facilities staff, and record management function now employs 2,000 people and pays a series of administrative services firms to handle everything the other 3,000 had been doing. This shifts labor market risk from large corporations to smaller service providers and creates enormous concentrations of data and process control in a small number of specialized firms. It means that when you enroll in your company's health insurance during open enrollment, the interface you're using, the data being processed, and the compliance being maintained almost certainly don't belong to your employer at all. They belong to a company you've probably never heard of, powered by an economic model most people never think about, in an industry worth $500 billion.